completely and utterly disagree with that notion. You put 77 tons on wood, it crushes into dust. So that's wonderful that these sleds were found, but I highly doubt that 77 tons were on wooden sleds, because I've once seen a 5-ton block being placed on wooden rollers and it got crushed into oblivion. This area here, it's very hilly, mountainous, so in those ancient texts, does it say how these stones were moved into position?
Traditionally, there were a group of very skilled artisans or architects who held a lot of secret skills and technology that was only kept to them. But unfortunately, we don't know what exactly those skills and technologies were.
I agree that there was engineering knowledge that has been lost. And to build something like this, does he presume that this knowledge may have come from some of those kamis or celestial beings that are in Japanese mythologies?
So the further back in history we go, the greater these monuments become.
Yes.
So the technology was there from the very beginning, and if we go back in time to follow these roots of these beings, we will go back to prehistoric times of the era, the age of the kamis or the deities. Ancient Japanese Shintoists believe that once you die, you would be put into a coffin that was shaped like a boat and then travel to the land of the gods.
You know, that's so fascinating, because there are stories of flying boats all around the world. In ancient Egypt, you have the sun barges descending from the sky. In Native American cultures, you have the flying canoes. Why would they label a boat a flying boat? Well, could it be perhaps because they didn't have the vocabulary to say airplane?
Now, I don't think our ancestors pulled this out of their own imagination. I think they actually saw flying boats, and thus the legends were born.
Might the Ishibutai Kofun have been built with the help of extraterrestrial beings? Beings that were also present on Mars in the distant past. Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest further clues can be found by examining another mysterious megalithic structure. One that some believe represents the so-called flying boats that, according to the ancient Japanese stories, were used to travel to the land of the gods. Coming up.
So this could be some type of representation of one of those flying vehicles that our ancestors witnessed.
Yes, the rock ship would have come down from the heavens as a vehicle for the gods.
Hitachi Province, Japan, 1803. Local fishermen on the Harayadori shore spot an unusual craft drifting in the distance. When the vessel washes ashore, they are astonished by what they witness.
This craft was likened to the shape of a Japanese incense burner. It is almost literally a flying disc, a flying saucer. On the outside of this craft were multiple small metal plates, not too dissimilar to heat-resistant tiles that you find, say, on a space shuttle.
A hatch opened, and a young woman came out of the craft, dressed in clothes that had never been seen before, and speaking a language that nobody understood in the slightest.
When they looked inside the craft, they could see hieroglyphs and strange writing all inside of the craft.
The story of the strange Tsurobune craft appears in 3 different Japanese texts. Even today, modern historians struggle to understand what this means. Nobody can really decipher this.
Japanese today are very familiar with this story, and to them, this is a curious story of one of the gods of their ancestry who had somehow arrived there on the island in this mysterious craft and then departed.
Could the Utsuro Bune incident have marked the return of extraterrestrial beings that were present in Japan in the distant past? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim further evidence can be found by examining a strange monolithic stone that many believe was carved to resemble the very craft that have been visiting Japan for thousands of years. Asuka Park, Japan, April 2017.
Does that say rock ship?
Masuda rock ship.
Oh, all right.
Giorgio Tsoukalos and ancient astronaut theorist Takaharu Mikami set out to examine Masuda no Iwafune, an 800-ton rock structure that was carved from a single piece of granite and resembles no other architecture in Japan.
Oh, man.
Whoa.
That is... I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
While some researchers believe the Masuda no Iwafune megalith is a tomb, others claim it is meant to depict the skyboats that are described in ancient Japanese stories.
So the idea is that this was the entrance to a Buddhist temple. What do they mean by that? Inside, I mean, where?
It would actually predate Buddhism in Japan, so it wouldn't have anything to do with Buddhist temples.
Right. So what is the actual translation of Masuda no Iwafune?
マスダっていうのは地名ですね。
Masuda is the name of a region, and Iwafune literally means stone ship or a rock ship.
Okay.
岩のような硬い、重い。
Yes, it's naturally the Iwafune or the rock ship would have come down from the heavens as a vehicle for the gods to descend upon Earth.
So I guess with the combination of those mythologies of celestial beings, this could be some type of representation of one of those flying vehicles that our ancestors perhaps witnessed.
Could the Masuda no Iwafune have been carved to resemble the so-called flying boats that were referred to in ancient Japanese texts? And was a similar alien craft witnessed by Japanese fishermen in 1803? Perhaps further clues can be found by examining much more recent UFO sightings and the long-held belief that Japan's imperial family has a connection to otherworldly beings. Coming up,
Multiple witnesses cited a fleet of UFOs right over the city.
The erratic movements and patterns suggest that these are possibly being controlled by some extraterrestrial species.